morning. I'm Doug Yates with the Real Estate News Channel.
And I'm Mark Cunningham, Doug Yates' identical twin brother. And so with Freddie and Fannie's plan to be phased out, being unveiled, there's been a lot of different agencies that said, we need to go further and we need to look at all investors and we need to also look at servicers.
Yep.
And the reason is they just weren't prepared to do banking in this particular market with so much defaults.
Right.
So they really need to come out with possible some plans according to the different agencies. They need to figure out different ways to compensate them and maybe help the whole industry, who is limping along right now, really gather up some steam.
Yep. So what Mark and I did last year, we actually went and met with a very large investor that has about $15 billion in assets, trying to dump them all. And we wanted to find out from them, how is it that it works on the back end? What is it that they're doing that affects real estate agents? What is it that they're doing or not doing that affects their bottom line? And why they cut certain fees, commissions, things like that? Well, here's what happens. They have a bunch of loans that they're trying to get rid of. And so all of their investors in this actual hedge fund is included in a trust. This trust has already preset stipulations on what they're going to do with each default, with each loan that is going into foreclosure or has foreclosed. So what they've done is they've said, listen, we're going to pay X amount of dollars out on each file. They reserve the right to pull 1% out of the commission to handle the administrative costs for this particular investor. So sometimes we wonder, why does the commission get cut from 6 to 5%? Well, this is one investor that does this. There are many others that do the same thing. However, you got to watch. Every investor is different. Every investor has a different trust attached to their portfolio. But this was fascinating to hear from their point of view, what is happening on the back side of things. And the servicing was another factor. Tell them about the servicing with this investor and how they still have to pay certain fees, which is interesting.
Well, here's the thing. They have to continue to pay servicing fees on non-performing and performing assets. And basically, somebody's got to answer the phone when you call, right?
Right.
And because you don't know who your investor is, and it can be so difficult to prove, as we've shared in other stories, they need somebody to service it. The other interesting point, going back to your 1% that they pull out, is, a lot of times people think, well, I could just argue my way back to that 1%. And in some cases you can, because depending on what the guidelines and rules are per the trust that was set up through the hedge fund. In this situation, this particular trust has to have a governor of the trust come out and actually sit down, hear a reason why it should be changed, and then he has to make he or she has to make his recommendation back to all those members of the trust, which, remember, it's a hedge fund which could have thousands of people in that hedge fund. They have to vote on it, and then they have to come back and then determine, yes, this vote passed. They have to write new bylaws. It has to then be approved once the bylaws are approved, and then it goes into act. So, what do you think the likelihood of your argument changing that one hedge fund? Not very likely. So just remember when you're dealing with that.
I got a question, though. Let me stop you there. You're telling me that if the real estate agent's commission is getting cut from 6% to 5%, and they fight for it, you're saying that they might be able to get 6%?
With a different investor, but not that investor.
Gotcha.
That investor just said there is no way, because they just cannot go back every time to talk to the government. And to be honest with you, the board of trustees, they don't care, because they do not want to have to reconvene on every possible change in the industry.
Okay, but wait. I've got 10 files with Bank of America. And this particular investor happens to service their loans through B of A, Wells Fargo, and GMAC. So 10 files with B of A. Now, you're saying because on the last 3 files that I did with B of A, I got 6%. And on this 4th file that I'm doing, they're now cutting my commission to 5%.
Yeah.
So, in other words, B of A, just because they're servicing for how many different investors,
Who knows?
every file just goes to show that is going to be different. We don't know who the end investor is on each file. So that's a good point.
Yeah, so you just don't get discouraged if this one staunch investor is holding back and you don't know. So all you're hearing is from B of A servicing saying, nope, we can't do it, we can't do it, we just can't do it. And then they tell you yes, and you think, well, God, this bank doesn't know what they're doing. They don't know who they're talking to. It really is not up to them to make that decision. Now, the FHFA
Right.
is coming out with the new ideas on what possible servicing plans should be. And we've actually dropped down in our links and docs section down below. The document that they've come out is 28 pages, but it's kind of interesting read because it does talk about how they get paid currently and how their costs have increased and how possibly they might get paid going forward.
Yeah, they might be making some changes, which could be good, could be bad. We don't know yet. Anytime they make changes with the government into private sector, we just don't know anymore. So we'll keep an eye out and let you know. Remember last year we talked about 157 banks failed? The FDIC took them over? Well, we still got more coming this year. So hold on to your hats and glasses because it's going to be a wild ride again. But the good news is I don't think it's going to be as many because right now we're on track for about 10 plus banks to fail each month this year. A little less than 130 banks this year is what's projected.
Normally this is your tip of the day, but instead today we're going to talk about a rumor that's floating around because if you look right over here, one of our sponsors that we have is Complete Short Sale Processors, and Doug and I happen to own Exit Las Vegas Realty Center, right? And there's been rumors out there that they actually are out there to gather your clients and steal them from you by getting them into Complete Short Sale Processors. Think for a moment. How ridiculous is that? That's killing the golden goose to get the egg. Doesn't make sense, right? You don't destroy business to gain business. So please put those rumors to rest. If anybody comes at you with saying that that may happen, one, it's never happened, and two, it will never happen. All you got to do is contact them, ask for references. They'll give you plenty of client references, and you'll never hear of one saying that a client went from their shop to our shop. All right?
Hey, we would like to thank you once again for watching our show with us today. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Exit Las Vegas Realty Center, the home of Johnny Lowy.
They don't even know who he is, Doug.
They might someday.
Yeah, okay. Corporate trainer, just so you know. Anyways, listen. Subscribe to us if this is your first time. We'd love to come into your computer every day. And we're on Facebook right up here. Click on Facebook. You can go to our sponsors right here. They're right down a little bit below. And don't forget about that links and docs section right down at the very bottom that has that document talking about the different servicers' compensation plans.
You guys have a great day. See ya.
See ya!
Hey, we'd like to thank everybody coming out for this press conference for ClientGate. We'd like to go ahead and put all these questions aside. Oh, duh.
We're here to answer all questions
Yeah.
and put this rumor to bed.
Okay. All right, we'd like to thank everybody for coming out to this press conference for ClientGate. And we'd like to go ahead and answer any questions so we can put this rumor aside.
George in the front row, go ahead. So you can, okay. Yes, okay. So you wanted to know who started the rumor? Well, we don't know for sure. We're pretty sure it's a competitor. In fact, if it's who we think it is, they've got to be tremendous athletes.
Oh, tremendous.
I mean, unbelievable athletes. For them to keep up with those ambulances they're changing. Oh, I mean, it's
Wow.
It's incredible. And let's face it, if anyone was going to have an idea of how to steal clients from a realtor, it'd probably be somebody who knows how to chase ambulance.
Yeah.